Hello, lovely friends and family. Welcome back to my channel. When you see what is happening now, you can see there's trouble. There's fire on the mountain, okay? So this is my okro soup, okay? Another okro soup. So I'm going to be sharing different kinds. I have different ways of making okro soup, and this is one of the most delicious ones, okay? So I'm going to be sharing this with you. This is to mimic Ademe soup or something, right? But it is not. This is spinach, only spinach, and I have a lot of spinach in this one. So this soup is really, really healthy and nutritious, right? So yeah, this is going to be very, very enjoyable. I said in one of my videos that I like slime, so I'm going to be sharing all my slimy stuff with you, okay? My drawing stuff. Please, nobody should call me draw queen. Sianoki, no draw queen. Okay, let's get into this video. Okay, let's start with our ingredients. I'm going to be using this fish, mackerel, and some smoked fish. Okay, in Ghana we call it akosombo, and some salted fish. I didn't have more money, so I used this one that I bought from the supermarket. It's also good, right? And here are my crabs, right? Okro dear is always nice with crabs. Okay, so I have some squid and some shrimps and something, I forgot it, the name, more shrimps, my onions, and I also have some abobi. This is Keta schoolboys, right? This anchovies, right? I have my garden eggs that I have quartered. I have my green peppers or my green chili, and I have red chili, Scotch Bonnet. They are all Scotch Bonnet, but a green one. I have some buttons, mushroom buttons or baby buttons. And I have my my blend. That is my pepper, garlic, ginger, and all those things. And here are my spinach. This spinach is just like not half, quarter or 1/8 of the spinach I used. Okay, I couldn't show you all of it, but this is just one. And here is my meat that I've started steaming. Okay, it's just normal beef, and I've added some of the fish, not all of the rest, but some of it. So the squid, the squid and the clams. Is it clams? No. To cook. So now let's concentrate on the onions. Forget about that. It is some fish. Get a selection of fish thing or seafood and add it to it. It's going to be amazing, right? Okay, so let's concentrate on the okra. Okay, this okra. If you watch my other okra soup, that is the same way I cut it. The same way I deal with it, right? So I add some water, and what I do is I bring it to a boil. Once it boils, like you saw it there, I add in my garden eggs. Okay, so the okra soup that we're going to do, the base is going to be cooked before we add this. So we make sure that we add the garden eggs early so that it cooks with it. So here I'm going to season it. Here you can add any Maggi cube of your choice. But here I'm adding vegetable bouillon because that's what I have, and that's what I normally use if I want to use any other seasoning apart from the ones that my homemade ones. This is what I will use, right? So you give it a good stir, and then you add some of your onions, okay, or all of your onions. Then your green pepper. If you have papochito and petit bell, this will be the best time to add it. It will be the best to add it actually, but I didn't have it, so I used that. Then goes in my bicarbonate of soda, right? Give it a stir and let it cook, okay? Once it boils, as soon as it boils, that will be with just turn it off, okay? So yeah, you see that? Yeah, it's nicely boiled. It's jumped over. That jump over, Nidia. It's if you don't give me the English one, that is how I will say it. Okay, so in another saucepan, we are going to start with the base of our okra soup. Okay, so I add a little bit. I wanted to go for oil free, but I didn't feel it, so I just added a little bit of oil, right? And I added my salted fish. So here is where your money will go in, and then my pepper, onions, garlic, ginger, anise, that blend. That is what just went in there. Then I added my dry fish, my smoked fish, but I don't know, I didn't get a video of it. Then my anchovies, which is the abobi, okay, Keta schoolboys. Then my crabs go in. Okay, so we're doing this, so we want the fish to be well seasoned, right? That's why it goes in early, so by the time it's nicely cooked, just the the taste, you know, the flavors has entered all the meat. So I add my beef and my stock, right? So that is basically it for the soup. So I'm going to be adding all the other. Make sure you taste it. You taste it. So I always taste it like, you know, around this time when I add the stock, because I know there's salt in the stock. Then if it needs more, I just adjust it, right? So I added my mushrooms there, and now it's nicely simmered. Okay, more things will come in. I'll add a few more things, but it will be later in life, not now. So here goes in my fish, my mackerel, and my shrimps. Okay, give it a good old stir, and then, you know, let it simmer. Make sure that it is nicely hot. Just make it simmer, and then add your okra. So when I added my okra, I realized that my saucepan is too small for the job. I didn't realize how much okra I had cooked, right? I thought it was the normal. This was really a lot. And the meat and all the protein in it was just, it wasn't working. So I was hot. So because as soon as I started adding the spinach, I realized that no, even the stirring has become tricky. It was sort of like, you know, going on the sides and everything. So I had to change it, pour it into my biggest saucepan in this house. That one is a commercial saucepan. I don't do commercial stuff, but I have that, my biggest saucepan. I use it for tomato sauces sometimes. So yeah, I was like, I need to swap it. You can see how I was struggling. Yeah, I was just pushing things back in, and I had to change it. So I poured it into a bigger pot, right? And more spinach. I tell you, this recipe is like spinach okro soup. That's why I call it, because it had a lot of spinach in it. A lot. I used over 1,005 grams of spinach. More than that, I think. I just kept adding it. Because it wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough for me. I wanted more of it. So yeah. So that is it. This stew, it's not stew. This soup, it's so delicious. The flavor, it's very, very local because of the dry fish and Abobi, the smoked fish and Abobi. It is makes this flavor very local. So when you eat it, then you remember Jifa. You remember Jifa. So yeah, this is very simple but very delicious, right? So here I just kept adding, as you can see me, kept adding the spinach. I added a lot of spinach. I know that I added more than 1,000 grams. For that, I'm sure. So just stir it, and that is it. As like once you stir it in, because the residual heat in the soup will cook the spinach. So that is it, and it's ready to be served. Delicious, amazing. But before then, I added some willy. You know, I forgot about the willy. I was just around and I remembered, oh, the willy. Yeah. So the willy went in, and yeah, to complete everything. And this soup was amazing. I'm glad it was a big pot of this okro soup. Please ignore me. This spinach okro soup, ignore it. I just need to show you, how much spinach went into this okra. You won't believe it. But spinach is hard that the more you add, it shrinks, and it's like you don't have enough in it. And I wasn't getting it the way I really wanted it. So I was very, very not happy. I just kept adding it because I had a lot. So I kept adding it. But you can use as much as you want or as little as you want. But yeah, this is what I wanted to do. So this is what I did. So I'm glad you enjoying this video. Please like it. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. And thank you, all my subscribers. Thank you all for always coming back. I'm really, really appreciative of all of you. Okay. So here goes our... Hey, this food was so nice. I shared it with my friend in South Africa. She nearly killed me. I sent the video and everything of it. She nearly killed me. Sabrina, you the Palm Bonnet. Ajay. So yeah, thank you all, and I'm glad you joined me once again. So as you can see, some okra soup is happening. Yeah, today I want to share with you how I make my very delicious okra soup. Right, this is a winner. This one, it goes very well with banku, soft bankubi. You don't even have to swallow. As soon as you put it in your mouth, it goes straight into your tummy. Yeah, so let's start, and I will say more about this recipe. So here are my ingredients: my garden eggs, my okra, which I've cut the heads off, and my spinach. Okay, so first of all, I cut my okra. So with this okra, as you can see, I cut. What I normally do is I cut off all the head, and I arrange it this way. So with all the tail at one side and the head at one side. So I grab them as you see me do, and I put it there and I just chop them. So just cut them like that very quickly, and it takes me less than 5 minutes to do that. This is like very quick because this okra is very soft and it disintegrates very quickly. So you don't need to, cut it very finely. All right. But then if you want very slimy okra soup, then you need to do more to it. So just stay with me as I prepare this. So here I'm cutting my garden eggs. I just always cut it slices just this way so that I just like garden eggs in my soup, you see. So, and it's also good for free bowels. Yeah, so I always add some to my soup, right? So just cut it like that. And I chop some red onions as well to add to my okra. So I'll be cooking the okra and for it to soften before I add it to the soup. So when you hear okra soup, it's basically soup, then you add okra. And when you hear okra stew, it's stew and you add okra. That is it. It's just simple, isn't it? So I finally chop my red onions and then add it to my okra. So the next step is what I do is I take some of the chopped okra. So as you can see, the okra, I chopped it very big. The sizes are big, right? Okay. So I want it to have like 3 different consistencies, okay? These large sizes, and then in between the large and very small sizes, okay? So I take some into my chopper. So I'll just scoop some, as you see, into my chopper, and then I just blaze it like that, okay? So the first one, this is the consistency you want, like, it's not very smooth, okay? And the next one is going to be much more smoother. So what I do, I eyeball my okra and divide it into 3. One part will be these big chunks, the other part will be the medium sized chunks, and the other part, the third part, will be very smooth. Not smooth, but like just like that. You see that it's gone quite, smaller and smoother than it was before. So yeah, that is how you get very slimy okra. Then you add some bicarbonate or soda, or some kanwe or kanwu, or however you call it, saltpeter in English, right? So I add some water. Because I'm going to be making soup, you add a little water, not a lot of water, a little water to your okra to cook, okay? You can add a lot of water to the okra, and then your soup will be very tiny, very small and thick. Or otherwise, you make your soup the normal way, and then you make your okra thick so that it balances. Else, I don't know, you get too watery soup, okay? Or your soup will be very watery. But then saying that, right, with okra soup, the first day it needs to be watery, right? Because the following day is going to thicken very well. So when it's watery the first day, then the following day it just goes to the usual consistency for you. So as you can see, I have cooked my okra and my okra. Some people call it okra. I've gotten used to that. And my garden eggs, okay? I added some bicarbonate of soda before, as you saw it. So once it's cooked, then we'll just go on and add my spinach. Okay, so I've washed it and I'll just put it in. I don't cut it, I don't do anything to just wash it and put it in because it's very soft. I even turn off my heat because the residual heat will cook it nicely. So you don't need to because spinach is very soft. Okay, so here is my meat. I'm using some goat meat here and I've added some tolo beef. Okay, so I didn't remember to take it out, so it's frozen. And I've added some momone or salted fish and my spice cube. Okay, my spice cubes that goes in there. So I'm going to be steaming this meat, and here are the rest of my protein. Okay, I have some crabs, I have my wele, and I have some shrimps. Okay, and here are some mackerels. Okay, so I've grilled mackerel and taken out all the bones and deboned it, whatever you call it, but I've taken out all the bones. And here are the rest of my vegetables. So I'm going to be blending that. Okay, and a few spices, right? So, and some mushrooms as well. So my mushroom goes in now. My mushroom goes in now, right? And it doesn't matter whether it gets too soft or not. I just these mushrooms there. You have to remember that everything else will be in the soup. Nothing is coming out. So whether they're overcooked or not, all the nutrients will still be in the soup. Okay. So I blended my spices, which was nkitten, some African calabash, and that is nkitten is anise seed. Okay, and some onions, ginger, and some chili. Okay, so I'm adding my oil now. I'm adding my oil now because if you add the oil later, water and oil, they don't really go well, you see. So you add it now so that as it boils, it will be able to mix together or integrate or whatever the word is. Please leave me alone. Okay. So here goes in the rest of my meat. Okay, my wele. Oh, my crabs. I had a little, like about 3 or 4 be lying around there in the freezer, so I brought it out. And then my shrimps. Okay, then I add some salt to taste because I always taste my soup. That one is very important to make sure that there's a lot of salt, because salt, when there is no salt, already you have to add it later, but it doesn't go into the meat. And well, my soup is ready, and all that you need to do is to add your okra. Okay, so as you can, it's very easy. It's very easy. All that you need to do is to just get your ingredients and just prep them ahead of time, and within like 15 minutes you have your soup is ready. And this soup is so delicious. It goes so well with banku, eba, gari, whatever, even rice. If you are like me, can eat okra with it, okra soup with anything. Okay, so that goes in my fish. I always add it at the end, because especially when it's soft, and this one was quite soft. Okay, so I add it at the end so that it doesn't break into pieces. Well, it breaks into pieces, what will happen? Nothing, but then that's what I do. So my soup is ready, as you can see now. And oh my days, if you are from where my husband is from, when you see this, it is all dancing. The song that you have to be singing for this food is Abua Konkontiba. Abua Konkontiba. Obe nyina yekese na wadania poncheni. It has a history, that song, with okro soup. One day I will tell that story. So yeah, my banku, soft banku is ready, and my soup, as you can see, it is, yeah, it was so delicious, right? So yeah, this is how I make my okro soup. I have other ways of making it, but this is one of the ways. So in time, maybe in future, I'll share the other ways I make my okro soup. And very soon, I'm going to bring you my okro stew recipe. All right. My name is Samira, and today I am super excited to be sharing with you another delicious recipe. Okay, so today I want to share with you how I make my chop bar okro soup. Okay, chop bar okro soup. This very delicious soup that you see. Okay, so I will share that with you in a minute. Okay, so but before then, I want you to like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and share. Okay, hit the like button right now. Hit it. Yeah, and let's get right into the video. So let's get into our ingredients. Okay, so for our ingredients, we have my chili paste. Okay, this is chili paste. that I made the other day. Okay, I have some onions that I've blended. I have diced onions. Okay, I use red onions, but you can use any one that you have. I have some vegetable bouillon. I have some ginger that I've blended, and then I have some garlic that I have also blended. Okay, so I have some mackerel, smoked mackerel, and some tuna. Okay, my spices, I have calabash nutmeg, I have anise seed, and I have cloves. Okay, they are all like in powder form. Okay, then I have my okra, okay, or okro, okay, Abe-Nkurma. Yeah, I also have some spinach, okay, that I'll be slicing and chopping them and putting it in. I also have some garden eggs. This one I'll cut them into quarters and put them in. Okay, so here is my beef. I'm going to be adding beef to it. Okay, so we're going to steam our beef, and I'm adding some garlic paste, the one I showed you earlier, and then some ginger paste. Okay, that we are going to add to it to steam it. Okay, so I'm adding my blended onions here. Okay, so I'll add some water as well, and then some salt, and here goes in my spices. Okay, these are the only spices we're going to be using. Well, we use the vegetable bouillon, okay, as well. And yeah, my salt goes in to season the meat. Okay, so enough salt to season it very well. Okay, so that the beef or the meat doesn't come out bland. Okay, so I cover it and I'll let it steam. Whilst that is happening, I'm going to be grating my okra. So today I'm not going to cut it, I'm going to be grating it because we're going chopper style, and you know chopper usually they grate it. So I'm using this big size, the big size or the big holes to grate my okra. And because the okra we have here in the UK, is quite, soft. It's not as the one we have in Ghana. So I was actually really having difficulty grating it. But yeah, but in the end, I grated it because I was really determined to grate it. I was just going the I was going the whole 9 yards. Just a yeah, the immigrity. So I persevered and it was successful. Okay, so never give up in everything you do. Never give up, even in grating okra. So yeah, so I grated every one of it. Okay, then I cut my garden eggs into quarters. Okay, so the garden eggs, they'll just be lying inside the soup. They're not going to do anything much. Okay, so here it is, my garden eggs, and I didn't even cut it. I sliced them actually. It wasn't into quarters. It's like each half I'll cut them about 3 or 4, depending on the size of the whole garden eggs. Okay, so I'll put that aside and we check on our beef. So our beef is nicely steamed and it is ready. You have to let your beef be cooked because once it hits the okra, you are not cooking it any further. This is very sharp okra soup, and this is where I'm adding a little bit of oil. Okay, so the okra soup we are making today is mimicking the okra soup that when you go to the chop bar now, you collect Abe-Nkwan and then you want Nkurma kakra, then they add it. No, and sometimes you don't want any Abe-Nkwan or light soup or anything. Okay, but then you ask for it and they give you just that. Okay, so here I'm adding my okra to my pot, right? And I'm going to add some water, a little bit of water, because don't forget the stock from the beef, we will add it to it. So if you don't want your okra to be water, please, here just a little bit of water, enough to be able to cook the okra. Okay, all right, so we'll add some blended ginger, some onions, and some vegetable bouillon. Okay, we then give it a good stir. Okay, then yes, we give it a stir. We add some bicarbonate of soda. Okay, and if you have kanwu or kanwa, you add it. Okay, give it a stir and then you cover it because you want it to boil quickly. Okay, cover it, but then pay attention to it. Just don't leave it unattended, otherwise it will overflow, it will boil and it will overflow and all your stove will be messed up. Okay, so while that is waiting for that to boil, we're going to be breaking our fish, okay, into pieces. Okay, so we're going to break our mackerel. I'm going to take out all the bones and then break them into pieces. Okay, so if you can remember, when you go to the chopper, you ask for that kind of soup. See that when they scoop some, when you are lucky, you get these pieces of fish, opoku kakra, mackerel if you are lucky. Okay, so that is what I'm mimicking. That's the idea. So I'm going to break it into pieces, and then I will pour it into the soup when the time comes. Okay, so this is how I'm breaking it. So this is tuna steak that I grilled a little bit. Okay, a little bit. Okay, for it to be a little bit, workable. Yeah, and I'm breaking it into pieces for you to see, right? So this is how it looks, and it's now ready, okay, for when we need it. Okay, so we check our okra nest, and it's boiling nicely, okay, and we didn't leave it unattended. We didn't forget about it, so it didn't overflow. Yeah, so you give it a stir, and once okra, you don't have to cook it so much, otherwise you overcook it. Yes, yeah. There's something such as overcooking okra. Yes. So now I've added my chili paste, okay? If you have any kind of chili powder, whatever you have, you can add it. That is what I had. So that's what I decided to use, okay? And make sure it is really, well, depending on your spice tolerance. But make sure if you can take a lot of chilies, make sure it is really spicy, because that is when you really feel it. And make sure that the ginger is also enough. Okay, so it's ready, and I've just turned in my beef. The beef is an addition, because I wanted to enjoy this with something. So you're not supposed to add the beef, the choba one. There's no beef inside this kind of okro. This is the okro na edigu Nkwan so man. Yeah, but you can add it. It's literally Okrosoup recipe. So that is me doing my own thing. Okay, so I'll give it a little bit of stir, and I'll add my spinach, and then I'll add my fish, and then it will be ready. So here I'm adding some bakposhito. If you can remember, you see that there will be bakposhito swimming in that kind of soup. It's one of those really delicious soup. You never get it at home, but today I'm bringing it right to your home. You have to try this recipe. So delicious. Okay, so I'm slicing my spinach. Okay, so ideally, if you have ademe, okay, ademe leaves, it would be really good to take it to another level. I don't have it. When I went to the shop that I usually get it, they said it's out of season. So yeah, me pay baby fire. Now me got my spinach. Okay, so you add your spinach to it, and you give it a stir. Okay, once the spinach goes into it, you turn off the heat. Turn off the heat. Okay. We don't want any wilted furnace and spinach be our abrabum. We want the spinach to nice and green, okay, and fresh. You turn it off because spinach is very soft. Yeah, okay. Then you add your fish, right? Then it is actually over. Actually, you add your fish just when you add your beef. I forgot to add mine. Just say I finished the soup now. I may feel me quite relaxing on. Then bam, I saw it and see yeah. I forgot about this one. Right, so that is when I added it. So you can see that I'll add it very soon, because I forgot about it. So you see it's coming. The soup is ready. If I'm the fish in the room, where you're in it's not easy. It's not easy to understand this life. So yeah, but it doesn't really matter. Potogum if you is still see why that it didn't take anything away from this soup. Seriously. And it is really delicious. So that is it, and I hope you give this recipe a try. It is very easy, the easiest okra soup you ever made, and it's so delicious. Okay, very delicious. Just okay. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, for watching. Okay, and please give me a like, thumbs up for this video. Okay, and share this delicious choba okra soup. It is delicious. So hey, that's what I used to serve my eba chai. It was really good. It was really good, I tell you. So yes, I hope you give this a try. Hello, lovely friends and family. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. Today, I want to share with you this delicious okra stew. For this recipe, I need you to pay attention to the little detail that will make your okra stew a bomb. So delicious, you won't believe you made a stew. Okay, so yes, look at how slimy and delicious. Of course, slime queen, I'm here. I'm going to show you more. So let's get into it. As always, the ingredients. So here I have some onions, ginger, garlic, and chilies that I've blended. Some onions, chilies, red chilies, chopped tomatoes, some awam wele, and some dawa, of course, don't miss that, and my spices. Okay, So I also have shrimp and herrings powder. I have some mushrooms, and here is red snappers that I have grilled myself. Okay, so I also have crabs, and I have prawns, shrimps. Here's my beef that I've already steamed. Okay, I've steamed, and it's so good, right? I can't even resist it. I also have my spinach. Okay, and then I have gardeners and aubergine. So these are in the same family. I have my okra, and I've cut off all the head for ease of processing. Okay, so my aubergine, I'm going to be slicing it. And aubergine, as I said earlier, is the senior brother, or you can call the younger brother of garden eggs. Okay, so they are both eggplants, right? And they taste the same, and there's not much difference. This has less seeds, and the garden eggs, what you see over there, usually have lots of seeds. Okay, so what I do is I try and cut them into 4, and then as you see me do here, I slice them and then I chop them into squares. Okay, I like to add garden eggs to my okra stew because it gives it a very distinct taste, and that always reminds me of home, because that is what my mom used to do. Okay, or that's how she cooked her okra stew, with a lot of garden eggs and okra, and also it makes your stew plenty. So for the garden eggs, I'll take one and I slice them into 4, and I slide it. I'm not going to cube them or dice them. Okay, just slice them so you see that they look straighter, I mean, like, longer, if I can say, than the first one. So for my okra, the reason I cut all the heads off like that, and I arrange them the way you've seen me arrange it, all facing the same, so that it's easier for me. I just grab a handful and I put it together, and I cut them in batches like that, so that it goes quicker. That is if I'm not using my machine. Okay, so that it goes quicker. For okra stew, I like okra stews like that. I like to cut it so that I have very big chunks of okra, right? But I also want Okrosoup with a lot of slime. So because of that, I'm going to cut some in very small sizes. Okay, so I take one okra and I cut them like into 4 or 5 or 6, depending on how big it is. So as you see me do, that's how I cut it. I put them together and I finely chop them. Okay, so very finely. When I finish, I will also go further and chop them, make sure that it's very small sizes. Okay, so the smaller the sizes of your okra is, the slimier your okra will become. Okay, so yes, and another way you can do it is you just chop them as you see me do, normal way of I've been chopping it earlier, and then you go into it and keep, sort of chopping further and until it becomes very small, like, the sizes that you require for your okra soup to be slimy. So like the one I did earlier that you can see on my right hand side, okay, or the right hand side of the chopping board. So once that is done, we just add it to our okra, and then we'll finish up, and then we'll move on to the next stage. So friends, if you're new here, welcome, and please consider subscribing to this channel, because here is so much fun and it's going to get even better. So trust me, you need to subscribe and then turn on your notification to get all the videos. So at this point, I had to change the saucepan to a bigger one, so I realized I had a lot of okra and garden eggs. So we are going to be cooking it. So cooking it, I add some water and some of the blended onions, garlic, ginger, and chilies that we did earlier, and some bicarbonate of soda. You can add Nkwan if you have that. I add some more water to cook it. Okay, so once that is cooking, we'll start making our stew. So in a saucepan, I've added some oil, and I've added my onions. Okay, I'm adding my mamoni paste. Okay, so I have I'll link the recipe for you. Okay, so I'm going to fry it for about 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so that's the mamoni paste, right? And then I'll add my sliced or chopped chilies. Okay, these are fresh red chilies, and then I'll add my blended ginger, garlic, and that concoction we did earlier. Okay, so I'm going to cook it for a bit, and I'll add my dawa. Yeah, this is when you add your dawa so that you can get all the flavors. We're going for that umami, super umami taste. Okay, umami flavor. Our tomatoes goes in next, and please don't blend your tomatoes when you want your okra to be slimy. Don't blend it. Chop it, slice them, but don't blend them. Okay, So yeah, so I've chopped it and I'm going to cook it for a bit and I'll start adding the rest. Okay, so what goes in next is my meat, and with all the stock it will cook and all the stock will reduce. I've added my wele now. Okay, so it needs to cook wele. Well, you know, as we all know, it is hard, it takes long to cook, so add it in early so that it cooks nicely for you, giving it a very good taste. And it needs some salt. I've added more salt. Okay, I did that after I've added my stock, my beef, because it had salt in it. Okay, right. So my okra is cooking nicely, and that is it. Once it boils and it, for like 2-3 minutes, you turn off the heat. You don't want it to be all mushy, right? So I'm adding my spices, which is anise seed, cloves, and then calabash nutmeg, and then my fish powders. Okay, that is the shrimp and the herrings powder, and then my snappers goes in next. Okay, so it needs to also cook and absorb all that flavors in there, right? So that every bite of your okra stew is so delicious. Okay, I had some chili flakes sitting there, and I'm like, let me add it. More chili in your stew wouldn't kill you. Well, I didn't have much anyway, so yeah. Okay, so it's now time for my crabs to feature. Okay, so I've added my crabs. I'm going to stir it and make sure that it also goes into that sauce and it absorbs some of the flavor. Then we add the rest. Okay, and once I add my shrimps, and that is it, it's ready. Okay, so my mushrooms also goes in now, because it doesn't take long for mushrooms to cook, so you don't put them in early, otherwise you won't even see it cry. Just say obayira, obehuanu disappear. So my shrimps goes in now, and then give it a little bit of stir, cover it for it to steam for 2 to 3 minutes, and then we add our okra, and our okra is done, or our okra is done. We hear okra nuguma penwenum abe. Sure. On the other side, the banku too is cooking. I just wanted you to know that it's definitely going with banku. In the agro crab. So here, yes, the okra is going in now. As soon as it goes in, I'll add my spinach. I'll give it a stir, and then I'll look for somewhere to perch and think about myself. I tell you, I have bread. Nkwan. I love it. Yeah. As I'm tasting, the way I am happy inside my heart. So the spinach goes in, and I'll give it a stir. Spinach, the arenas are in the and so as soon as it goes in, the heat is off, then your stew is ready. So yeah, my lovely friends and family, this okra stew is so good. Just pay attention to all those little ingredients we've put in our stew. Okay, it all comes together to make the stew so delicious. You won't believe it. So, as I've always said before, okra stew is you make your stew, then you add your okra, and that is what you've done. This is not soup, and look at how it's going down. So today we are making what I call Abe-Nkurma Nkwan, or Palm-Okro Soup. Okay, so this recipe is so delicious. It's just so unassuming, but ever so delicious. Please stay with me, okay, and I'll go through this delicious recipe with you. But before we get into that, please like this video for me, okay, and subscribe if you haven't. It's all for free. Okay, so let's get into it now. Bread alone, but at this moment, let's just live by bread now. For now, just for this moment. So I have my protein here. I have some beef, some cow foot, and then some smoked fish. So I'm using adene here. Okay, no, I'm using Akoebi here, right? So I'm going to pour over my blended ginger, garlic, and onions. Okay, and today I'm going to be showing you my ingredients as we go, right? I won't show you beforehand. And I'm adding in some salt to taste. So I'm going to steam this. Okay, I'm going to steam the meat. So what we are doing right now, we are making the palm-nut soup. We are making the Abe-Nkurma, okay, part of this recipe. Okay, so yes, I've just raised my bowl and I've added it to it. I'll allow it to steam for a bit, then I'll add my palm nut paste. Okay, so I'm letting it steam for a bit so that the my marinade will flavor it nicely, okay, so that it will be well marinated. I mean, like, it will taste good before we add the palm nuts base, okay, so that they all cook together, okay, because that one will need a bit of cooking, okay. So now I'm adding my anise seed, my widiaba, which is calabash nutmeg, and a little bit of star anise. That is all I'm adding. That's all the spices I'm going to be adding to this soup, okay. It's going to make a whole lot of difference, because anise seed, widiaba, oh my days, the widiaba is the calabash nutmeg, and they are all ground already. I've just ground them already, right? It's going to make this soup so delicious, okay. And my Akwebi is also representing, Akwebi that, and I'm a anusu daddy. You don't want no challenge out, Charlie. So here is my palm nut base, okay, and I'm using kulenu for today. And here's my hot water. I will pour all of that in here, mix it very well, and I'll sieve it into there, or I'll sieve it. They say, man, strain it, sieve it. See why. That's what we're doing, aren't we? Yeah. So I'll strain it onto my meat here, and then we'll move along. So the reason I'm straining is usually it has this black thing at the bottom, you see here. So I don't want it going into my soup. So I use a fine sieve to strain it so that I don't get any of those in it. So that's the reason. So I strain it very well, and then give it a stir, and then I'll allow it to cook. So I'll just add a few bit, like I'm going to add my mackerel. I think that is the only thing I'll add, mackerel, and then I'll add some crabs, because don't forget we are making okro soup, but in a different way, okay. So I'm adding my vegetables at this point, because Nkwan, we need vegetables. So my onions, my tomatoes, and my Scotch bonnet, or my pepper. So once it boils over, or once it jumps over, or once it's efura, so I don't know. Then I will take it out, blend it, and then pour it back in. Okay, so look at it boiling nicely. My vegetables are nice and soft, so I'm taking them out. Okay, and I'm going to blend it. Today I'm not showing all these nitty-gritty things. I'm just showing how this thing is being made. I want us to move on quickly to my onions, my chilies, and then my tomatoes. So I'll blend it very smoothly. I'm not going to sieve it, blend it, and pour it straight in, right? So it's nicely blended, and there it goes. I add it to it, and for it to turn into soup. Otherwise, you're making engo and So your vegetables make your palm nuts, it makes it soup. Without the vegetables, you're making engo, because you'll be scooping the oil from the top, and you get engo, palm oil. That's what I'm saying. Palm oil is engo. All right, okay. So I'm adding my mackerel in now. I'll let it cook for a bit, and then we'll continue from there. So what we are looking for is for the soup to cook and thicken a bit, okay? We are not going to do this very light Abe-Nkurma kind of soup. We want the soup to thicken a bit, because we are going to be eating it with like swallow, banku, and those kind of things, okay? Because we are making okro soup, okay? And a bat, and amala, all that, okay? So here I added some garden eggs, but my someone called my phone, so it just didn't record. So sorry about that, but I've just added some garden eggs, just the fact that Nkwan Nkwan, so we need some. I want to add it. So right. So once it starts to boil, now it's cooked nicely. I can see that this is ready. I mean, like, it is just a being now, so it hasn't thickened to my satisfaction. All right. So now here I've added my crabs. I had like 3 be lying around the bee. Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, let me drop it in, because it's Nkwan Nkwan. So here I am testing to see if it's thick enough, so that you see how I'm scooping and pouring it back. Yeah, just wanted to see that it's thick enough. So this is the consistency, not very light, like a bit thick. By the time we finish with the okra, would have thickened a bit, right? Then it's going to be kama, okay, kama. Simple. So yes, so here are my okros. I've chopped up okros, and I'm adding some water to it. I'm going to cook this okro very quickly. So once this okro boils, as soon as it boils, then it is ready. We're not going to do anything, and we are going to flavor this okro. We are not just going to leave it bland as that. We'll actually flavor it with, I put some grated ginger in it and some shallot in it, okay, or some shallot, right? So I'll let it cook, it boils, and I'm adding vegetable bouillon. This was really, really delicious. Just say this thing, when it was ready, you can just eat your banku with it just like that without meat, Charlie. And also, so a punishment to eat the banku and okro without meat. A little bit of bicarbonate to get more slime, because you're going to be adding it to the Abe-Nkurma. It's got tomato in it and such things. So you need to make sure that you get more slime to make the thing look proper in Nkwan. Okay, so here it is. My okra is looking good. So once it boils, now you're going to add it to your okra. You're going to add it to your Abe-Nkurma, your palm-nut soup, your banga soup, because it's going to boil over there as well and it will cook. So here is our soup, right? It is looking good. It is so delicious. I tell you, so those spices, those 3 spices, they're amazing. They did the magic for this. You don't need a lot. So long there's garlic, there's ginger, there's onion, you need just that. Okay, so here I'm adding in my spinach. Okay, spinach, or if you have Ademe, go for it, right? So my spinach, I've added my spinach, and then my okra is going to go in. When you go to the chop bar and you buy pacho meto banku kakra, now pacho me pa Nkwan fa Nkurma kakra guso. That is the idea. Or then you me pa Nkwan fa Nkurma guso. Yeah, we are making the whole Nkwan Nkurma. It is just, as I said, it's very unassuming. When you taste it, you see say, chai, I did, there, baby. Yeah, right there. Something that is sweet is somewhere. This thing was not it be cake, it be like Ghana, the way Ghana they be, no sana another them Nkwan they be. Nkwan was good. And I served this one with some rice swallow. Okay, rice swallow. So this is rice banku or rice balls, not a mutu. No, a mutu in a way, because tuo is to say banku form. No, yeah, but yes, and it was so good. So yeah, here it is. That is it. It will just simmer for a little bit, like 2 minutes, then it's ready. And look at that. And this is my rice banku, or my rice balls, or rice swallow, nice and soft. Just when you take some and you put it in your mouth, you don't do any work. And one kasa slide it through, or slide water. As a friend is a walk with theme park, no so on seashore now, and yes, seashore slides now, slide also. You see that slides. Once the banku or the swallow drops on your tongue, it slides straight into your throat, into your stomach. Your body doesn't do any work. The food is delicious and kasa. It is just amazing. It will be good. So yes, let me stop talking. You can see, I want to share with you this Fetri Detsi, and it's oilless. Okay, so yeah, before I get into it, please take this moment to like this video, and if you haven't subscribed, new viewers, please consider subscribing. You will enjoy this channel very, very much. I promise you that. So for this recipe, we're going to be using some ayoyo leaves, which are molokai leaves or jute leaves, or some people also call it molokai leaves. Okay, so what I'm doing is sometimes you can just rip it apart, or you can just slice them with your knife on a chopping board. So that's what I'm doing, because this batch is the leaves are quite big, and ripping it apart with your hands was quite difficult. Not difficult, but tedious. Not tedious, but it was annoying. So I just had to use my knife to slice it. Okay, so so the next stage is to wash this, and what I do is I add some water, and then I sprinkle some salt on it, and then I'll mix it round, and then I'll leave it there. Okay, I'll let it sit, and later on I'll rinse it before it goes into the okra. So that's how I treat my leaves. Okay, so here we go through our protein. Okay, if I can say that. So I have some willy, some crabs, I have a little bit of aquabi to give it that dry fish flavor, I have mackerel, and I have some fresh shrimps. Here is my Abobi. Okay, Fetri Detsi is not complete without Abobi. Okay, so I have my shallot that I have diced, I have some green chilies, I have some ginger that I've grated, and then I have my spices. This is widiaba, aniseed, which is in kitten, and some vegetable bouillon. Okay, so this is the onions, some of the shallot, and my chili that I have chopped. Here are my okra, which I've already chopped. Okay, so yes, I have some more chilies just for garnishing, and I have some garden eggs that I have coated. Okay, so my spices is going onto my meat. Okay, and I'm using beef as well, and I've added my shallot. I'll add a little bit of water. Okay, and then I'll add my akwebi and my wele. You know, wele is very, very tough, and you need to pre-cook it, but I'm not going to. This is not that hard. So here is my chopped chili and some of the shallot. Okay, and also I'm adding my ginger. I'll add the rest of the ginger to my okro to cook. So I'm giving it a stir, and then I'll add some salt, okay, to season, okay, so because you need salt. As I always say, always salt, season your meats, okay, at the beginning, so that it tastes nice and succulent at the end, okay. Yeah, I'll stir it, and then add a little bit water, okay. Yes, and then I'll add my garden eggs, because I want the garden eggs to cook. If otherwise, I don't want raw garden eggs, okay. So yeah, I'll cover it and for it to simmer. And whilst that is simmering, I'll add my okra to my saucepan, add the rest of the shallot, then I'll add the rest of the ginger, okay. And I'll add a little bit of water, and not a little bit, but some water, and then I'll add some vegetable bouillon to season this okra. Okay, you need to make this okra super delicious. Okay, yeah, you can use Maggi cube if you want. In Ghana, that's what we normally use Maggi cube. Any Maggi seasoning of your choice would do. Okay, so yes, I'm going to give it a stir. As you can see, the spices in this, I'm adding bicarbonate of soda to my okra, okay, to help it, to make it more slimy. I mean, Nkurma they say telephone wire, okay. So yeah, I'm giving it a stir, and then I'll move it back to the other hob because it's kind of low, and I wanted it to boil fast as my meat was cooking. Okay, so yeah, I've swapped it. As you can see, I'm swapping business being crazy. Yeah, and I'm stirring my my meat and making sure that it's okay. So I'm going to add my Abobi. Okay, so Abobi has got a very strong, delicious flavor. That is why, as I was trying to say earlier, you don't add a lot of spices to this kind of soup, okay? Because otherwise you just spoil it. You just, you dilute it, or not dilute it, but like you overcomplicate it, and it won't taste as nice, okay? So I'm adding a bit more salt because tasted it, and it wasn't to scratch to my preferred taste, okay. So so you have to take it easy, okay. Go easy on the seasoning, just a little bit, okay, to give it because you've got strong flavors in here. Have the akwebi, the dry fish, okay, which is going to give it a very nice flavor, okay. So as you can see, my okra is almost there. You don't have to cook the okra for it to cook completely, otherwise when you add it to the pot of meat, it's just well, depending on the kind of okra. I'm adding my leaves now, okay, my jute leaf, my ademe or ayoyo, okay. Just it's very healthy, I tell you, and we are eating healthy, okay. Yeah, so you give it a stir and like make sure everything incorporates nicely, okay. Then we add it. So as I said, when you are outside Ghana, and the okra there is not as tough as the one we have in Ghana, okay. So as soon as it boils, you just stop cooking it, otherwise it disintegrates, and then I poto like I had to say it's mashed up, okay. So I've added the rest of my protein, which my fish and my crabs and all the rest, okay. So I'm adding it now so that the concentrated flavor around my meat will all seep into the meat and to make it even more delicious, okay. I'm adding a bit more water because it's okro soup, okay. So it has to be watery. So what I always say, whenever you're making okro soup, what you should have at the back of your mind is you're making soup and then you add your okro, so it has to be watery. Okro stew is you make stew, then you add the okro, and it is more like stew. so it's not as runny. So that's the difference between okra stew and okra soup. In Ghana, in Nigeria, it could be anything because they call soup stews soup. So yeah, it could be. Sometimes it's confusing, but yeah, they do understand it. They know how they do their things. They are great. Anyway, so yeah, I've added my okra and I'm giving a stir. And wow, Nkwan, just say, this Fetri dish. Yeah, look at how the shrimps, I say ubroni. Hey, Charlie. The soup was nice. So this soup, the Abobi, is crazy. I tell you, always add Abobi to your okro soup. So yeah, so I'm serving this okra with my millet banku. Oh, you didn't see that coming, did you? Millet banku. It will be my next reference upload. Look out for it, okay? I know some of you have asked for the recipe for the millet flour, but trust me, I am bringing it to you very, very soon, okay? I am putting it together. It's kind of giving me a little bit problems here and there, but yeah, so that is our soup done, and it was very, very delicious, trust me. You can pair it with banku, gari, kenke, anything really. Me kura me to me sanom no sa, me to wana me num kruma nkwan. Me they want to me share. So this was really delicious, and I'm very, very grateful to you all for coming for watching, and I really do appreciate. I hope you give this a try, and please don't forget to like this video if you haven't already, and please do subscribe if you haven't. Okay, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And I'm still saying, what do you say? Let's just rejoice in this day, okay? Because someone didn't say it today. All right, so today we are making okro soup, right? We are making okro soup 2 ways. So I want you to join me and I'll tell you more about it. So we'll start by cutting our vegetables. So I'm cutting my chilies, okay? Chilies. These are hot chilies, right? So this recipe was inspired by Nana Best Kitchen, right? So she made this okro soup, right? She made this oilless okro soup. And to be honest, I've never made okro soup like that before. I call myself the slime queen, right? But I had never made it before. I'm like, that is very interesting. Let me try it and see. So I decided to try it. But I'm doing this 2 ways, right? One with oil and meat in it, and the other is just seafood, fish throughout. The reason being, my husband likes meat. Right? That is why. So I diced my chilies, and now I am dicing my tomatoes as well. So yeah, so I'm just doing exactly verbatim, like to the T, right? How she did it, okay? So I'm done chopping or dicing my tomatoes. I'll set that aside and we'll go onto the okra, okay? So the okra, I just cut off the heads, right? And I'm going to cut it into chunks, just like you see me do, okay? So this recipe, I'm just trying to give you 2 options, okay? So if you don't like it, the too green, right, then you can add some oil to it, and you know when to add the oil, because some people find it tricky when to add oil to okra soup, okay? So then you know what I'm doing. So now it's all done, and the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be blending some of the okra, okay, or the okra, right? So in Ghana we call it okra. So if you call it okra, it's fine. I call it okra, so it's the same thing. So some okra and then some spinach. You add some spinach to it, okay? And then I'll blend it, okay? Blend it to be a bit smooth, right? Okay, so we'll do that off camera. So this is our saucepans for both soups, okay? So the white one is for the oilless, and the red is for the oilful. Somebody I say oilful, okay? So I'm adding some assorted seafood. So here I have crabs, I have mackerel. I'm putting mackerel in here. I have shrimps, I have the can't for mussels, bibisa. Then I have tuna, okay? So I have the same thing for the red one, okay, the red saucepan. It's just that one has meat as well, has beef that I've steamed, okay? So I've added my onions, and now I'm adding my chopped chilies, okay? So yeah, I'm just adding all these things, then we're going to steam it, right? It's very easy and it's very quick. So the next, I'm adding the chopped tomatoes. Okay, so yeah, I'm just sprinkling a few, I'm just dividing into two, so two each, right? And I'm adding my B10, okay, and a little bit of my H13, just a little bit of water, okay, to help it steam, and then some salt to taste, right? So we'll let it steam for a few minutes, okay? So here is where you add your red oil for the oil-full one. So the back one is oilless, but this one will be full of oil-full. And I'm saying, and I'm adding some vegetable bouillon. So everything that needs to go in is going in now, okay? So we'll cover it and then we will steam. Okay, so I'm now adding the water to the red one. So we are doing two at a time. Then some chilies, okay, some Scotch Bonnet chilies, right? So here I'll just shake things up, okay, move things about a little bit, okay, and then I'll add some fish powder, okay. So I'm adding here some fish powder and then some shrimp powder as well to make this soup super delicious, trust me. So I'm going to cover it and then I will let it steam, okay. So now it's steaming nicely, and then we're going to add our okra, our okro Nkurma. Just said this recipe is so quick and so easy and so delicious, and you get a lot of slime, okay. So this is the first one that I blended, the blended spinach, and I don't know, I'm wondering what you can use to add to. So you can, if in Ghana you don't have spinach, you can use ayoyo, okay, or it's also called jute leaves, okay. There's another name for it, ademe, they also call it. You can use that, and so you blend it with the okra, and with that one it's even slimy, so it means that your soup is going to be super slimy, right? Okay, so I've just added some mushrooms to it. I'll do the same thing for the oil-full one, the red saucepan one, okay. And then once I add the blended okra, we'll add in our chunks, okay, okra chunks, okay. So here I'm adding a little bit of water to it because I know I'm going to be adding the rest of the okra, okay. And also it's soup we are making, we are not making stew, so it has to be loose and runny, okay. With soup it has to be loose and runny. So here I'm adding the okra, and I'll add some too. So I'm just trying to do, a friend is saying, apportionment. Just say me check. So say obi abenye bi pepepe na a red saucepan and kwakasa adentina white saucepan dear do so say me dear na ntokwa aba na me na meti hwe na me siesie saucepan ntokwa yi nti me chem pepepe. I'm trying to, divide into two. Division. Some kind of division was good. Divide. 2 divided by 1. And 2. And don't mind me. Okay, so yeah, look at how it looks. It's super green. That's what even attracts me, or the color is just beautiful, very green, and it looks fresh, and oh my days. And then we move on to my husband's one, the red one. It's not easy. It's not easy. So I'm making 2 soups because one person says I want meat and oil. If you marry an Ewe, that is what you get. If you don't know, I'm not saying don't marry an Ewe. I'm not saying marry an Ewe or don't marry an Ewe. Marry a good person, regardless of where they come from. It doesn't matter. You can marry someone from where they come from, and your life will be a living hell. So marry someone who is very good and will treat you well, regardless of where they come from. I mean, a boy, now so be your hard dream. Oh, mommy, I am quite anyway, for the benefit of some of you who like oil and meat, this is how you make yours, okay? So I've now added the mushrooms. I nearly forgot the mushrooms for them. Like a red saucepan and booming. So look at that. It's just that simple. That is it. It's simple and straightforward. If you didn't understand this recipe, please email me or send me a message. I'll do another video and explain to you. Why? I am serious. I'll do another video and explain it to you. Maybe just one of it so that it will not do you kofi usu. Do you know what kofi usu is? It will not do you confusion. Kofi usu. Okay, so here I've just sliced some, this is scallions. These are red scallions, okay, or red spring onions. They are big like onions, but they are red or purple, okay. I've just sliced them and then I'm just garnishing it with it. That is the end of the Nkwan. And you see how slimy it is. When the okra is boiling and it is doing poto like that, it means it's very slimy. So I'm now adding the spinach to this one, and that is it. Our soup is ready. We are making 2 soups, so it's understandable. Say video no about kakra. Into Momo boom for say video no why. It's all for expansion of knowledge. Okay, you're expanding your okra soup making knowledge. What to say? So the same thing. I did exactly the same thing. The only difference is that one has oil and beef or meat, and the other is just fish. Okay, fish, oilless green fish. So right now, all that you have to do is to choose your choice. Which one do you like? Let me know in the comment below. So with banku, always one who send a fiat no pram na to we say what's here with the boma haram neko. No contact between your esophagus or anything. It goes straight from your tongue into your stomach. And no esophagus need contact. No contact details needed. Okay, contactless. So that is that one done, and looks beautiful, amazing, and the taste was to die for. Tell you. So I can confidently say that this recipe really worked. Okay, yeah, Sister Madame did it, and I've tried it too. And it actually really works. It is delicious. Okay. So she didn't scam us. Okay. She didn't scam us. Oh, she didn't scam us. It does work. Now look at it. Yeah, Raddy. When so never fine. Now so me kuno so mo be and DB. Onu kwa be di na de. And I'm going to di na ye din. And a ye din. A day. So this one too was a bomb. Trust me. So my okra lovers, Queen of Slime, I've brought you 2 recipes in one. Okay. Now more Nkwan ya. Then I'm pebium. Give it a try and let me know in the comment below. And as usual, I'm going to put all the ingredients in the description box for you, okay? So today we are making okra soup. But what kind of okra soup are we making? We are making 1 pot okra soup. 1 pot okra soup. And what is that all about? So this is where you put all your ingredients in the pot and you cook it. It is the fastest and the most delicious okra soup you ever taste. Trust me. Okay, so stay with me and I'll go through this with you step by step how you can make this seafood. I failed to mention it's seafood okra soup. Let me give the title properly. Seafood 1 pot okra soup. And 1 pot seafood okra soup. One of them, take one of them, no problem. You'll pay me out to me for. Actually, this is a potogum okra soup. So get in there and let's see how it's done. So as usual, we'll go through our ingredients first. And here I have my okra. Then I have a few garden eggs, which I'll be just slicing and just leaving them in, okay? So I have my onion, I have my chilies, I have my ginger, and then garlic, okay? And here I have anise seed and a little bit of calabash nutmeg, okay? And here I have my Abobi, Keta schoolboys, okay? And these are anchovies. They are dried anchovies, okay? So I'm just showing you how you peel them. Like, you remove them from the gut upwards. So you peel the gut because the gut can be very bitter, okay? So yeah, when you just peeling the head off, you start from the gut, like the middle of the gut, and like that, and then you rip it off, okay? So I'll be doing that too, all of it. This is a very annoying job. I'll just do it off camera. I won't waste your time, okay? So yeah, I'll put that aside and we go through the rest of our protein, okay? So here I have some mackerel, grilled mackerel. I have some grilled dry fish. I forgot the name. I have some crabs, tuna, and then I have shrimps or prawns. Okay, difference in anything? I don't even know. Okay, so I'm adding my Keta schoolboys or Abobi. Okay, this is it. I've peeled all of it and I've washed it nicely. So here are some mushrooms. These are some plants I want to add. I'll call it plants.
okay, and my oil. You can use this soup you can do it without oil, but I wanted to add oil. My kids, if they didn't see oil, they won't eat it. So here are the my chilies, okay, my aromatics that I have washed nicely, and I'm going to be blending all of them together. So my chilies, my onions, my garlic, and my ginger, okay, right? So yeah, I'll put all in my blender jug, and I'll add my calabash nutmeg and my anise seed, okay. You can add Maggi cube if you want to add Maggi cube to your soup. And here I have fish powder and shrimp powder. Okay, I'll put everything in the description box, all the ingredients and their measurement. And I'm adding my salt now. You know why I'm adding the salt here, okay? So yes, add enough salt to be able to season your food, your soup, because this is what I call one pot soup, and you have to season it from the start. Otherwise, well, you can add some salt later on, but then the protein needs to be well seasoned. Okay. So yeah, this is it, nicely blended, right? Okay. So set that aside. Actually, we'll go ahead and marinate our fish. Okay, so we pour all the fish in our saucepan, all of it, okay, because don't forget we are making one pot okro soup. Okay, so with this soup, all you have to do is to put all your ingredients in your saucepan and you just cook it. Trust me, it is the easiest and the quickest, the laziest delicious okro soup you ever make. Okay, so yeah, this is everything here. We are going to pour our aromatics, blended aromatics on it, and we'll leave it to marinate as we cut our okra. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to break the tuna because they were too big, so I wanted them to be a bit smaller, so I broke them, yeah, up. Okay, so I've poured it on it, and what we're going to, we let it sit for it to season our fish nicely. Okay, so you can let it sit as long as you wish, but I let mine sit for about an hour or a little bit more. Okay, so yeah, you let it, you stir it, and you make sure that every bit of the fish gets some of this goodness, okay, so that it marinates nicely. Okay, otherwise your fish will be very bland, your soup will not be nice. Simple. Okay, so yeah, my okra is nicely cut, and I'm adding some bicarbonate of soda to it. Okay, you can add can, but can takes a bit of time to dissolve, I think. So yeah, if you can grind it or you dissolve it, it will be much better. Okay, right? Yeah. So yeah, you pour your okra in your saucepan. You add it to your fish, all your fish, and then you add some water. Give it a good stir, and then you let the heat do its thing. Okay, you just sit, look for somewhere to perch. So I'm adding some chilies, okay, just for a little goodness, okay, and I'm adding my mushrooms now. Just everything goes in now. I wanted to add the spinach, but I changed my mind, so I didn't add it at all. I'm adding some chopped red onions as well, okay, to give it a bit of color, right? Okay, so yeah, so as you saw earlier, I put some garden eggs in it, and I cut it, I sliced it. Okay, so all that I want is not for anything. I always like garden eggs, I like to eat garden eggs, so I slice it so that it will be sleeping inside. Just a bed them, and I be working inside the soup. What you say? So you give it a stir, good, very good stir, and me removing little bones from the fish. Yeah. Okay, and then that is it. This is very simple. You just sit down. I said you can go and perch somewhere, but actually, unless you are not like me, and you using a bigger saucepan, then you can sit somewhere and perch. But with mine, you can see my saucepan is full, and okra has a tendency of overflowing. Okay, has that tendency to overflow, so you have to be standing there. So I actually stood there and made sure it didn't go into the fire, and thankfully it didn't. It didn't, because me page you maybe I even a baby na you're not coming to clean the stove from these slimy things. It's not a pleasant job. So I wasn't ready for that. Until me jina ho painting. Okay. So this is where I'm adding my red oil. As I said, you can omit it if you want, but I want red oil. My case, if they don't see red oil, they don't eat. Okay. Add it and give it a stir and let it boil. Okay. So if you watched it to this point, well, give me a like. What do you think? And please subscribe and share. Okay. And thank you very much for staying with me and for watching this video to this stage. I really do appreciate everything and every single one of you. Okay. Thank you. And yes, stirring, leave it to boil, and then that is it. You can serve this with your bankung, your eba, your konkonte, your, as I've mentioned, konkonte means konkonte is coming soon. Abitia, face the wall. You know, you will love it. Okay. Right. So yeah, this is very, very easy, and it is so fun to do because Charlie Ejumane knows. So all that you need to do is to prep your stuff, and chuck everything in. But the most important bit of this recipe that you shouldn't miss is marinating the fish. Okay, let it sit. Otherwise, it doesn't taste really good. Okay, because you need that fish to be well seasoned. Okay, before you add everything else. Otherwise, it will be just plain bland. Okay, like bland, like before they are so long as what so okay. So then, thank you for joining me.
Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. But today, I am making okro stew. Okay, okro stew. So the end product is going to be like stew. It's not going to be soupy. It's not going to be runny. Okay, so okro and stew. You make the stew, then you add your okro. That is what okro stew is. Okro soup. You make your soup, then you add your okro. That is what okro soup is. So yeah, so I'm going to be making this delicious stew, and please stay with me and see how I make this. Okay, so for our ingredients, I'm going to be using garden eggs or eggplants, and these are my okro, or okras, however you call it, and my spinach. Okay, so first of all, I start by cutting my garden eggs or my eggplant. Okay, so I do that. I usually do this because when you cut your okra first and you cut your garden eggs, what it means is that your chopping board is going to be slippery and it's going to be difficult to cut it. That is me. One way of doing it is you cut your okra first, then what do? You wash your chopping board before you can, which I will never do that. I don't like work. Work is not my thing. So this is how I cut my garden eggs. Okay, so I just cut it lengthwise, then I just slice them, and then I dice them. You know, it's like just, it can be annoying. Cutting these things can be exceedingly annoying, let me tell you. Yeah, but if you want it to look good and taste good, you just have to cut it this way. So I cut everything and then goes into the saucepan, and I cut that one first because it's a bit firmer than the okra, and that I want that to be at the bottom of the saucepan so that when it's cooking, that bit will start cooking before it gets to the okra. That's why I do that. Okay, so it's time for the okra, and just as I did my okra soup, I cut them all into big chunks like that. So I first of all, I cut off all the heads of the okra, and then I align them, in the way that you see. Then I grab them like, one handful, and then I slice them. These okra, they are not like the ones we have back home in Ghana. These are very soft. They disintegrate very easily, and you don't need to cut them so, finely, right? But then if you want it more slimy, then it means that you have to cut it very, very finely. Okay, you have to cut it finely. So normally what I would do after cutting it this way, I'll use my chopper to, chop it into smaller pieces. The consistency will be much smaller. So here normally I do 3 different sizes, right? So this one, which is, like, a bit smaller, and another bit which is much more like smoother, almost like I'm blending it. This is to get my okra slimy, okay? Because if you want your okra slimy, it means that you cut it finely, very small. That's when you get it all slimy. Otherwise, your okra will be the slime will not come proper. So if you make your okra soup, okra stew, and don't get the slime, bear in mind that it's because of that, right? So I do that a few more times so that I don't have all of it are not that small. It's just to balance the textures, really. That's why I do that. So if you can see, this is a bit more smoother than the first one, and it's going to give me a lot of slime, and that is what I want. So once that is done, all that I need to do is to set this on fire. I'll add some water to it, as you can see here. Add water, a little bit of water, and the water shouldn't be a lot. If we are not making okra soup, we are making okra stew. If you make the water plenty at the end, your stew is going to be a bit watery. You're not going to get a stew that we need, like the consistency of stew. It's going to be soup. So you add a little bit water and some. Here I'm adding some bicarbonate of soda or baking soda. You can also add saltpeter, which is also known as kanwu or kanwa. You can add that instead. I have that, but I normally go for this because this one is easier to reach. I just look over there and it's there. I just pick it up. So I'm adding some ginger here. So this is just frozen ginger, right? So here I have some pork that I have cut into pieces that I have steamed. I have a confession to make here. This is one of the most delicious thing you ever eat, okay? So by the time I go to the cooking of the stew, making of the stew, that particular meat was finished. So just gone was my beef, my mushrooms, and my fish, and my crabs. And here are the other vegetables I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be using red pepper and 1 tomato and some Scotch Bonnet, okay? I have my momoni, which is my salted fish, my red chopped onion, and then I have my spice cubes, the Ghana spice cubes, and then I have some more ginger, okay, and my regular spice cubes, okay? So this is the Ghana spice cube I'm showing you now. That one is called Wediaba in it, African calabash, nutmeg in that, okay? So this is what I'm going to be doing, using for the stew. So I'll blend the red pepper and the tomatoes, because with okra stew or with any okra, if you add a lot of tomatoes, you just not get your draw, or you not get your slime. It will just destroy the slime. So you have to be mindful of the tomatoes or the watery things you put in. And some fish also can cause that. Some particular fish can cause that. So you also have to be mindful of the kind of fish you put in. Like fresh fish would normally cut it. So if you're using fresh fish, there is a way of doing it to retain the slime or the draw. So here my okra is nicely cooked, and I'm adding my spinach. I've turned off the heat now, because here the residual heat in here will cook the spinach to make it soft enough, so I don't have to worry about that, and I'll set that aside. So in my pot or my saucepan, I add some red oil, okay? So we're using red oil here. You can use any oil, whatever oil you want, red or whatever, even without oil, okay? And here goes in my momoni and mine. I didn't show this is actually my beef, salted beef, tolo beef, okay? This is cured beef that I'm adding to add to the flavor, so you get that very authentic Ghanaian okra stew flavor. So I think I'm now putting in the momoni. Yeah, so you get that flavor, the taste, and the aroma. It's just to die for, okay? So yeah, I'm going, because it's raw, this is raw, that's why it's going in first there. The tolo beef is raw, that's why it goes in first. So I just fry it in the oil for a few minutes, and then I add my chopped onions. So by the time I cook, I add my blended tomato, red pepper, and all those things in, and it's ready for the okra to go in, the tolo beef will be cooked. So that's why it goes in first, right? So it gives it the flavor. I don't have to cook it, and I don't add any salt until I get to that stage. So here goes in my red pepper, my tomatoes, and my Scotch Bonnet that I've blended. Okay, so I just pour that in, and we're making stew basically, right? And I give it a stir. And what is going to be happening is I'll let it simmer. I'm adding in my spices, so my spice cubes and my ginger. I'm adding it in. I'm adding that in now, and then what is going to happen is I'll just cover it for it to simmer, for us to have that stew consistency. And as you can see, I'm adding in my stock from my beef that I showed earlier. Okay, so I'm adding the stock, and it will all cook nicely together. Okay, all the flavors from the meat will be retained in the stew. You're not losing anything at all. So now you see that it's the juices has reduced. Okay, a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, because I'll be adding. You'll find out in a moment that I'll be adding a lot of different protein. Okay, different kinds of protein. So here goes in my crabs. Then I'll add my beef. I'll add a little pork that I ate all. I'll add my fish, my mushroom. So by the time I add all of it, it's like the pot is already full, and you can hardly find any stew. That's why I didn't let all the water evaporate. So I need that juices, that moisture from the stew to cook the rest of the things that I'm bringing in. Not to cook it, but like to help it simmer, for all the taste in the stew to go into the meat as well. So, and also the meat and the fish and the crabs that I'm introducing have their own juices, and they will all end up going into it. So right now you can see that it's like it is all meat. You can hardly find any stew in it, but don't worry, it will come out perfectly. All the flavors are there. It is concentrated in that stew, trust me. So here I'm adding my mackerel that I have grilled myself, and yeah, so you see that this is becoming unbecoming. It's like only meat. Where's the stew? What's happening here? Like this is really concentrated. You can't even taste, and it's got a lot of salt in it, because I'm adding salt, and you see it will be very salty because you make it very concentrated, so that when you add the okra that you've cooked, which is like a whole pot of okra, you add it to this. You don't just get okra, you get a very good tasty okra, because this is where the taste is. Okay, so as you can see, I'm adding my okra, and I'm going to give it a good stir, and you see that the color changes, and it is just perfect. The taste is to die for. I tell you, I said this okra stew, if you are a fan of okra stew and you are served with this okra stew, not to say I'm blowing my own horn, so, but no credit at the no waka. So they said that when the truth is there, then you say it. That's what I just said in my local language. Literal translation. Chai. So once you add your okra, your stew is ready. You don't need, because don't forget you've cooked your okra. You don't need to let it sit on fire and kill all the nutrients in it. What am I talking about? You just serve it and it's ready. So yeah, our okra stew is ready, and it was so delicious, right? So thank you, my lovely people. Thank you for coming back. If you like what you see, please subscribe, and please like this video if you like what you've seen today. And I've added my banku, and this food is like, I can eat this food like every day. I'm not even an ewe. I eat food like I can eat it every day if it's available, right? So look at how soft the banku is. I have a banku recipe also on my channel, so I'll link that as well. So if you want to know how to make this beautiful banku, yeah, you go there for all the tips as well. So this is, you see how the slime is there, but it is not really like drawy like the soup. So that is what okra stew is all about. Okra stew has got slime, but not too much slime. It can see that the slime is there, but It's not like a really drawy scissors cutting slime. Okay, it's just enough for you to know that udi nkruma froy, and my mom will call it nkruma froy. A nkruma froy. No, my mom like it. That's why we say nkruma froy, and this was delicious. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise the Lord. All right, there you go, baby. Yay! Wow! The way many are Makuma we are. Charlie, let me change the dialect cry. Wow! Send a many Makuma we are. What you say? Adrian, yeah, dead. Adrian, I dead. Already, yes, Adrian Becum if you are Nkwan. Adrian Becum. Hi, welcome back, my precious people. Welcome back to my channel today. We are making this hot breakfast, hot chicken banku breakfast. My people, this food, we don't eat it for lunch or supper or dinner, whatever you call it, is breakfast. When you get this one breakfast, your manager, she'll call you. Let's get into this recipe with our ingredients. So here are my okro and some spinach for this recipe. And here I've chopped the okra. I use my chopper. I have a recipe of okro soup, how I chop my okro. So I'll link that for you. Okay. And I have my chicken. We are using chicken for this recipe. Chicken and mushrooms. Okay. And this is soft chicken. It's not the hard one for soup. Okay. Because it's quick. So you don't need hard chicken to cook. Not breakfast. If any one. Okay. So that was our mushroom. So here I have some ginger, garlic, and green Scotch bonnets, and my onions. Okay, I'll add the garlic. Yeah, and it's just about 3 cloves. Okay, and this recipe you have to let the ginger go inside. Okay, I'm adding some cardamoms because I'm using chicken. I like to add cardamom to my chicken recipes. And here is ground anise seed. Okay, and this is how it looks like after blending it. Okay, so here I've chopped some shallots that I'll put on top, and some grains of celery and my more Scotch bonnet. Okay, so I also have some garden eggs, which I like to add to my okro. It helps with free bowels. Okay, constipation. How with the free bowels. Okay, so my chicken goes in to my saucepan. This food is quick, fast. Prepare all your ingredients and let it finish like within 15-20 minutes while you won't kwanye. Okay, right. So I'm adding my blended aromatics. Okay, and as I said, my ginger and kum akedro manin ko sa nkwan. That's how you taste it proper. So I'm adding some salt to taste, and this is the only salt I used in the entire recipe. Okay, and then I've added a little bit of water to steam this meat for a few minutes. Okay, so here's where I add my shallot or shallots. Okay, I'll cover this saucepan and then I'll let it simmer for like 5 minutes. Okay, I've added my garden eggs. I add the garden eggs now because if I add it later it won't cook well enough. That's why I added it now. Okay, so after 5 minutes, it's nicely simmered. I simmered it on medium to low heat. Okay, because it's soft chicken. If you're not careful, your chicken will become poto. You don't want that. It will become so soft. It will be like too soft. So you have to use a bit of skill. So cook it on low heat or medium heat. Okay. So I added some water and because we need some water to cook the okra. We are making okro soup, so just add a bit of water. We're not adding oil to it. You can add oil if you want. Okay, so here I'm adding my okro straight away. We are not cooking it separately, okay? So once it simmers, it boils, it's ready. That's why I've cut it quite, small. Okay, you can cut it a bit chunky and it cooks a bit longer. But then if you want some more slime, you have to get a bit of fine ones, or cut it a bit smaller, some smaller, and add it. Check my other okra videos and you see what I mean by you cut some small. So you cut some small and you cut some big, and then like the smaller your okra is chopped, the slimier your okra becomes. Okay, or the drawer it becomes. I know, yes, the drawer, say drawer, no, drawer, slimier, superlative, drawer, drawers. You know, brofo. Brofo, dear brofo. Try. So here I'm adding my mushrooms. Mushrooms cook quick. So if you put your mushrooms with the chicken, it will be very soft. But if that's how you want it, no problem. You can add it. But I'm adding it now. I used chestnut mushrooms. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit of bicarbonate of soda to make my thing more slimy, because I love slime. Sianoki, queen of slime. I love slime. Okay, give it a stir, and I can confidently say with my eyes open that the soup is ready. Okay, you let it boil over, let it boil. Okay, let it simmer, let it jump over kakra. Ehuru faso kakra. Na shese Nkwan no aben. This soup, it's just delicious. You won't believe how delicious it is. It tastes different. It doesn't taste anything like any okra soup I've made on this channel. It tastes like proper Fetri Detsi, and with the chicken and everything. Oh my days, it's just delicious. So I added my spinach here, and you can omit the spinach. You can add more spinach if you want, but from my very last okra video, I've learned that spinach there, with this spinach you use the whole spinach in the world. So I just used a little bit for completeness sake. Okay, so I'm adding my grains of celery, which I have crushed a bit, and some chilies, okay, to add more flavor, because that flavor in that, if you get Okrosoup there, you die finish. Eish, it should be nice, papa. But this one too has its own flavor. This Scotch Bonnet, heat and flavors. Oh god, this food is delicious, I tell you. You need to try it, and it is very quick and fast. Get your stuff prepped and just add it. You see, say you are good to go. So yeah, once it boils, it jumps over like that, it is ready, and you get your soft bankubi. If it's akplen too that you care for, get your soft akplen. Say your chocolate, you move in the one that at the so that is like a friend is saying stone. You can swallow it easily. This one, when I was eating it, I didn't swallow. It goes into my mouth, harum, into my stomach straight, harum. Breakfast, as I said, this is breakfast. Don't be tempted to eat it for lunch. Make it for breakfast. I'm kidding, you can eat it anytime. But me, I ate it for breakfast. That was my breakfast for today, I tell you. So I added a few red peppers for a little bit of crunch here and there, and yeah, and the chicken. Oh my days, yeah, that's ginger that I said let it go inside me. Please don't forget the ginger. If you want to try this recipe, let the ginger go inside, because the ginger will go inside and it will go inside the chicken, and then the chicken will release some into the soup, and then it will release it into your mouth, then release it into your tummy, and then already that's when the abua konkontiba dance came. That story I'll tell you one day, okay? The abua konkontiba obenyina ayekese and you get this food. That is the only song and the dance you dance. So incredible. So thank you, my love, with your help. Okay, thank you so much. You are so lovely subscribers. And if you're new, you are welcome. And you haven't subscribed, please do before you go. It is free of charge. It is free of charge. Free of charge. You don't have to pay, I tell you. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one, and thank you for stopping by. God bless you. and keep you all safe. Bye.
We don't seem concerned for the things that seem to be. Oh no, how can we ignore?
As a child, I don't ever remember eating slimy okra stew before. Okra soup was even out of the question. My mom always made okra stew, and there was never a single slime in it. I didn't know any different. I didn't know any other. So that's what I enjoyed until one day, I visited a neighbor who offered me okra soup with slime. And I'm like, Ma, why don't we add slime to our okra stew? And she's like, I don't like slime. I'm like, what can I do? So I ate no slime okra stew for a very long time until I grew up. My mom is like, me to me wo emma enum. Emmambia enum na me nkoso enu aduan wo fi ha. Nti mo no ya. Tie na na ye no ya. We cook the food. If I cook the food, I cook it to my liking. So I started cooking slimy okra stew, right? Slimy okra stew. And whenever I cooked it and I served her with it, she was like, oh, me de me pet Nkurma sa Nkurma dodo Samira Nkurma me de me pet. Then I realized, I was matured, I realized that not everybody likes okra stew slimy. So today I present to you with no slime okra stew. So please, I hope you enjoy this recipe. So first, let's start with our ingredients. I'm going to be using beef in this recipe. So I'm going to be steaming my beef. So I'm using some of my spice cubes to steam it to make it very quick. This video is very detailed. It's got a lot of elements, so I need to get on with it quickly, okay? So as that is steaming, let's do our vegetables. So I have some garden eggs and aubergine, right? So I'm going to be mixing these two. They are basically the same, like family, brother and sister, right? And I have some crabs and some shrimps, okay? Right? And my shrimps are already cooked, so I'll just put it in last, right? And I have some mushrooms, and here's my mackerel that I've grilled myself, okay? And here is my wele that I have made myself. This wele is not cooked at all, so it's going to go in very early, okay? So my spinach, yeah, for a little bit of green, okay? And here is my okra, okay? Also, I have my onions and I have my chili. I have some Kobe and then I have some ginger and garlic, okay? So my red oil and my chili paste, which I've already shared. So I'll link in the description below. Here is my momoni paste, which I'm bringing you the recipe very soon, okay? And here are my tomatoes, right? So tomato, I'm going to char these tomatoes, right? Usually, like, we'll put it in the coal pots in, like, to char it, but I don't have coal pots, so I'm going to be putting it in the oven, the grill section, for it to char beautifully to my liking, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. So this is going to go into the oven, and it goes and it comes and it is charred. So I'll just sort of chop it into pieces. It's very soft already, so I don't have to do much to chop it. So here I slice my mushrooms, and this is how I slice it. I just cut it into pieces, cut it into two, and then slice them into pieces, or slice them. Yeah, and that is it. Once that is, I'm done slicing, I'll set that aside, okay, for when we need it. And the next thing we're going to be slicing is our aubergine, okay? Aubergines are huge, so I try and cut it as small as possible. So I just divide it into two. Sometimes I divide it into 5. Sometimes I divide it into 4. Then I slice them further and just dice them, okay? Just the same way that we dice our garden eggs, okay? So I just want to say a little bit about this okra stew, okay? So for you to be able to get a no slime okra stew, you need 3 things, or 3 principles must be present, okay? So that is you need to have tomatoes in your stew. A lot of tomatoes, that is. I'm now cutting my garden eggs, as you can see. So I'm just showing how I cut them, because you'll be surprised. People will ask, how do you cut this? Okay, so you need tomatoes, which I've showed a lot of it. Okay, you also need to cut your okra big chunks, big sizes, not smaller sizes like we do, because with okra, the smaller you cut it, the slimier it becomes. So if you want no slime okra, you have to cut it big sizes. Okay, so you see how I'll show you how I cut my okra. Okay, and also when you are cooking, you put your okra in and you're cooking it, you make sure to cover it. Okay, so here is how I'm going to cut my okra. Bear in mind, okra in the UK here, this kind of okra, or okra, some people call it disintegrates very quickly. Even though I've cut it this huge, it just would still disintegrate. It will like break down into smaller pieces. That's what I mean by that. So in Ghana, our okra is quite strong. It doesn't do that. So you can cut it just as I'm cutting it, or a little bit finer. To here, this is my spinach that I'm cutting. Okay, so just slice that into. You can use Ademe if you have it, or if you don't, you can use kontomire, which is cocoyam leaves. So today I've decided not to blend anything. So I'm grating my garlic and my ginger. Finally, this grater is amazing. It's great. It's like you blend it actually. So that's what I'm doing right here for you to see. So I'm not going to blend anything. And with my chili paste, that problem that I had when I spoke of in the chili paste video, that problem is solved right here. Okay, so in my saucepan I'll add some red oil, okay, and wokoko, right? So then goes in my ginger, my onions, my Scotch Bonnet which I've sliced, and my Kobe, and here goes in my momoni paste. Okay, so I added this Kobe because I watched Francie's okra stew video, and she said the aroma that you get when you add Kobe is something else. So I decided to try it, and trust me, people believe me, the aroma that comes out of this is amazing. So yeah, so I'm adding my chili paste. So make sure to try Kobe in your stew. You'll love it. It's just incredible. Coupled with the momoni, hey, you are in heaven. Stinky pie is what? Okay, so my chili paste has gone in, and I'm going to allow that to simmer and cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. And whilst that is happening, I'm going to chop my tomatoes. So because I charred it, okay, in the grill, it's become quite soft. So when I'm cutting it, it's like it's already breaking down for me. So I don't need to do much with it. So just very quickly, I just chop it all, and I just slide it into my stew, as you see there. All right, so then you're going to stir it. So this tomatoes is going to do wonders, trust me. Okay, so I'm now adding in my garlic and my ginger that I have grated, okay, to give it that extra taste. We're going for a very authentic taste, okay. That's why we have the Kobe and the momoni. And my wele has gone in. My wele, I made it myself, cow skin, and then I bent the back, and then I scraped it, and I haven't cooked it, so I needed to let it go in first so that it will cook with the stew, for it to be soft enough to be able to chew. Otherwise, hey, boy, wele, I'm being, we're gonna sing. What a shock day. So yeah, here goes in my beef that I steamed earlier with all the juices, the stock that came with it. Amazing. It's just going to taste incredible, this stew. Okay, this stew has got all natural spices throughout, so you'll see the spices I'm going to, it's just amazing. The taste is just to die for, really. It's incredible, right? Okay, so I've let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and I've come back to stir it. So with this okra stew, when I was making it, just cover, open, cover, open, cover, open. Okay, so here goes in my garden eggs and my aubergine. It goes in quicker, so because I want it to be soft. My okra, as I've already explained to you, is very soft. It breaks down quickly, so it goes in last, not last, but later. Okay, so now I'm putting in my anise seed blend that I've blended. I'm putting in some wediaba, which is calabash nutmeg. So ground wediaba, ground anise seed. And then at the last minute, I had that light bulb, ding! And then I decided to put in some dawa dawa. OMG. Oh my goodness. It was incredible. That is the dawa dawa. But that yellow thing I put in there is my vegetable bouillon. Okay. So that went straight in. And that dawa dawa made a whole lot of difference. The umami. I told you now I understand what umami is, so now I can use it freely. The umami, you have no idea. The taste is incredible. Super, super incredible. So here goes in my mackerel. And then my crabs. Okay, so my mackerel, I decided to cut it the sizes that I want to serve it. I didn't want to break it, like, grill it whole and break it down. Just cut it smaller sizes. Okay, and this is when I put in my mushrooms. Okay, so mushrooms are always later in life because they cook quickly. But I always say don't worry, because all the nutrients will still be in the pot. So whether you cook it too much or not, wherever the nutrients go, we don't even care. We eat it like that. And then nutrients. Africa, we cook too much. We cook everything, overcook everything. We've eaten. Africa is still there. So what is our problem? That we are overcooking things. Let's overcook, please. If you can overcook, no problem. If you cannot overcook, no problem. However you cook your food, no problem. All to your preference, trust me. Okay, so I've added some salt to taste because I tasted and I was like, there was not enough salt. I didn't put salt earlier because I had salt in my stock. Okay, and the momoni has salt, Kobe has salt, so you have to always put salt in later when you're adding all those things, because otherwise your soup will be a river pool. Trust me, you know. So I've added my okra here, or my okro here, and I am giving it a good stir, and then I will cover it, okay, for it to boil. Usually you will leave it without covering, uncovered, for it to boil, and that you see that bubbling and the slime doing its own thing, right? But then the slime, when it comes, the tomatoes is going to break it down. Sometimes the kind of meat or the kind of fish you use in your soup can destroy the slime. So something like mackerel does destroy slime when it's very soft. That's what I learned when I was growing up from my friend. So, and some other kinds of fish can destroy the slime. Okay, but then when you have when the slime is really strong, then it doesn't matter what you put in there; it will still stand the test of time. Trust me. So I'm now adding my shrimps, and I'm going to let it simmer for a little bit, and then I'll add my spinach, and then my okro stew is ready. No slime okro stew. So we are going for no slime. That's why we've added all these ingredients, okay? I mean, like, especially the tomatoes, to get the no slime, no effect, and trust me, the no slime effect, was really, really good. Seriously. And it tastes so good. You can eat this with rice, with your banku, with gari, with kinky. I mean, like, because the way there's no slime, it serves as a proper stew for anything you want to eat it with. I don't know about yam though, but maybe pounded yam. No problem. It can work. This is so good. I mean, very nutritious. You see all the ingredients we put in. Lots of vegetables, lots of proteins, lots of natural ingredients, and this is amazing. Okay, I gave it a stir, and spinach there with the kejana agogo, so it was already ready. So here we go with my non-slime, and as you can see, there is actually no slime. As I'm serving, you can see. Do you see slime? There is no slime. We have taken out the slime, and this is my mom's favorite kind of okra stew. So if this is how you love your okra stew, then I've got it for you. Okay, it's got covered. So please like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and thank you for watching and always coming back to support me. Thank you. God bless you, and I will see you in the very next one. Bye.